Most cringy, most uncomfortable.
Most uncomfortable.
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 Cringeworthy.
So this one took me a minute to think about, and then I remembered Joker. That entire movie was kind of uncomfortable. The acting was phenomenal, but I think that's what made it so uncomfortable was how good it was. The more uncomfortable was when he realized that his girlfriend was like all in his head. As we're seeing the, decline of his entire like existence, it's becoming harder and harder to watch. And for me, like one of the things that I have the hardest time with is like loneliness and people being lonely, if they really need somebody to support them. And he really seemed like all he could do with was like somebody to just have his back and be like, you're okay, man. Like I wanted that to happen for him. And so when they showed that, he was starting this relationship with this beautiful single mother who was just so like supportive of him and just seemed to love him no matter what, I was like, okay, it made the movie easier to watch because at least he had her in his court and she didn't care how awkward he was. But then you find out that it was all in his head, and it was literally like somebody ripped my heart out and kicked it and then like shoved it down my throat. It was like I just felt so sad that he just was going through all of that alone.
I think Black Panther's scene with Killmonger and T'Challa fighting in the water was a lot more cringeworthy for me because you understand both sides. Like T'Challa didn't do anything wrong. Like he didn't even know he existed. Like he just came out of nowhere, super angry, and he's like, "Oh my God! Like this is what being king is. Like I have to deal with this," which brings it back to like family trauma and like ancestral trauma that passes down and like having to deal with your parents or your grandmas or your ancestors' rage or things that they did that you didn't have anything to do with, but it's now your responsibility to deal with. Understanding the villain, I feel like, is always more like meaningful to me because that's more realistic to like why there's even conflict in the world. It's not good and bad. It's this person believes, like firmly believes for religion, for whatever suffering they went through, that this is their right, and to someone else that's evil. So seeing that conflict and them fighting and realizing that Killmonger is just like probably a better fighter in that moment or just more advantage and is gonna kill him. I don't know, it seems like in a way we're almost like rooting for him because he's like been like screwed over and like disciplined himself to get there. Yeah, I remember being really uncomfortable during that scene. Like that's one of the reasons I didn't want to rewatch the movie because that scene like made me so like cringe a lot despite all the other great things about that movie or fun things to watch about that movie.
Most uncomfortable moment is in Endgame when Tony first interacts with Steve after being trapped in space for like so long, and basically when he calls Steve a liar and he's like, no trust, I've got nothing for you. He even gives him like his like suit. He's like, you wear that, there's just no way. And that had to be really uncomfortable. For me, it was because Tony was right. It's not like he shouldn't have understood. Tony knew what was going on just as much as Cap did, but now, because like everything in the previous films, we're talking about Tony's need to constantly do things in order to prevent other things from happening. Whereas Cap was like, no, things have to happen first and then we do them. That's what, justice is. That's what it's all about. To me, Tony, coming after Steve like that, it was uncomfortable because I trusted Steve's choice in that the whole time. It's just like, yeah, Hydra was part of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra had taken over. And then you introduce the Sokovia Accords, and now heroes are on the run, and heroes are fugitives. Why? Just because they didn't want to sign their life away? What can he say? Sorry, Tony, but the world needed to know that we can't do this. Well, now there's no world to know it.
Dimitri's gonna mention where Joker kills so-and-so. I don't care who he's killing. It doesn't bother me. Most of them deserved it. I'm not saying I would run around and start killing people. But in the movie world, it made sense. It made sense in the movie. But when he finally got his shot at stand-up comedy. And he's got his date there. And he just laughs.
Oh my God.
He just laughs for minutes. 2-3 minutes of uncomfortable laugh. Like, I don't like feeling uncomfortable. When I feel uncomfortable for characters in a movie, I get extra uncomfortable, and I couldn't handle that one. I had to look away from the screen, and they let it play. They let it play for a while.
Hey,
I'm like,
people was gonna be uncomfortable with that.
oh man, it hurt.
Adventures Ultron, Scarlet Witch, and her brother. He was like fast or whatever, right? Yeah. And when he died, that was like, yeah, those scenes like that where I think, you know, that was like the first time I think they start like killing people off. It was, you know, that whole movie was just like about recreation and like, you know, destruction. So Scarlet Witch and her brother, Mr. Fast, and she lost him. You could like, you know, it was like, all right, we're getting real now. But these movies are now becoming like about to kill people off, like a HBO show.
Quicksilver got fucking sprayed. And
Yeah.
He was laid the fuck out. I was like, dang, with the holes in them.
That's what they're doing now.
Dang,
It's like, all right, and people dying now.
He said like Game of Thrones, take characters up.
They just take them out. Main character.
I was wondering if you were like cringy, like for me watching Doctor Strange, like when he wakes up and he's got all the pins in his hand. Like I hate needles, and so like he woke up in the head, like his hands like twitched to the pins. And like I was like, so I was uncomfortable there, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I'd probably say the Joker one. Now that I think about it, yeah, that one's. Yeah. So in Joker, Joaquin Phoenix. At the beginning of the movie, he's like choking down his laughs and almost like coughing on them, like suffocating himself. That's uncomfortable to watch, like in a great way. Like you're like, this character is in pain and it doesn't sound fun. But yeah, I'm just like, oh. Like at the end, he kind of lets it loose, which is like his whole arc. But at the beginning, his like the way he's choking on his laughs, that one brought back memories of like sitting in the theater, like, just laugh, man. It's okay. You don't have to choke it down.
Specifically seen, so I can't say like the
Moment.
X-Men Apocalypse entire film, or Dark Phoenix, or Fantastic Four, or Green Lantern,
The
or
whole movie?
all of them. Just all those movies.
We just need the uncomfortable scene.
Oh, the scene.
Moment.
The scene. Okay. That's... Dark Phoenix was garbage.